86 Charlie came over. He asked me for a favor. Asked me a question.
Essentially, you've committed a certain type of murder, and you're found guilty of that, and then the jury decides whether you're going to get the death penalty based upon the introduction of aggravating circumstances, which are circumstances that make this murder worse than other murders, and mitigating circumstances, which relate to primarily, is there something about this person? Are there characteristics about this person, their upbringing, their mental state that would mitigate against? But in reality, the death penalty in Pennsylvania, in my view, and throughout most of the rest of the United States, largely depends upon the economic circumstances of the defendant. Because if the defendant has no means, they're poor, they have no ability to get the defense that they need to establish those mitigating circumstances, for example, to explain to the jury. You have to have investigators, you have to have people who research their childhood, you have to have doctors that can testify to their mental state, to their IQ level, to whatever it might be, whatever it is in that individual's circumstances that the jury should consider to determine whether or not they're going to get to say that some very notorious rich people don't end up on death row because their crime was so bad and there's nothing that can be said for them. But I think you're really looking at 90% of the people on death row are there because they killed someone, or they were at least found guilty of killing someone. We'll assume that they killed them, and they're poor. 86 Charlie, he came back. Said he'd been thinking it over. Said he'd had a change of heart. Thinks he's made a grave mistake, but I'll never forget you. I'll never forget you. You make things so easy. I'll never forget you. Time was, I was working for the court. We had made the determination that this sentence was going to be carried out, and I was fairly gung-ho that was what was going to happen. I heard on the radio that he'd been executed, and I can tell you that I immediately felt like a weight dropped down on me, and I felt that I had been a part of the execution of this guy, because I had been, and I just kept driving. I started crying, and that's when I changed. My position was 180 degrees. I can never be another part of the machinery of death, and I decided at that moment that when I got out and did practice, I was going to represent people on death row.
Before
I was against the death penalty, but I was indifferent.
It didn't bother me that people were being put to death for their illegal actions. I felt that if one did something such as to take somebody's life while fully aware of the consequences, he or she should be brought to justice.
But now I have learned more about the death penalty, and I am confident that it is morally wrong. Even though the people on death row are there for a reason, we are called to show compassion to our brothers and sisters.
There is no crime that can be committed that could justify deliberately taking the life of a human being as punishment.
We have a biased and unfair system in this country.
I mean, aren't we being hypocrites, saying that we are going to kill the convict because they killed someone?
And so, there are many alternatives than ending someone's life, such as therapy or life imprisonment. It is not our job to take someone's life. It is as simple as that.
Our system on choosing whether a person should be put to death or not is completely unfair and warped. There are some individuals who receive the death penalty without a fair chance of fighting for their life.
And I feel repulsed that such an act is legal in this nation.
Now that I faced the reality of the death penalty, I did change. I saw the cruelty of the system, and I started to comprehend how corrupt this structure really is.
After this project, I realized how morally wrong the death penalty is. All we can do right now is spread awareness and hope that it will be outlawed eventually in the United States.
Now that I am educated in the death penalty, I changed my opinion completely, and I am against the death penalty.